Good morning. So today we are, pardon the frizz, today we are going to a place called the Lost Sea, and it is a Girl Scout troop. So you will, I don't know how much of it you'll get to see. I can't put the girls on the camera. I can put my daughter on there. So just follow along. Where are we?
We are, wait, I thought we are, we're gonna go to the cave.
Caves, yes, it's called the Lost Sea. We're at the Lost Sea. We're gonna go down into some caves. Yeah. Who are you with?
I'm with
the Girl Scouts?
Yeah.
All right, okay, let's go.
There's also
magnets.
There's magnets over here, guys.
Those are cool.
There's magnets over here.
Cute stuff.
No one likes it.
So these hoodies appear to be $34.99 and shirts $24.99. Robbie would like this one. $26.99. This one's nice. I like that one. It's purple. Stickers, hoodies. These are all 50% off. Bracelets, I have one of these.
Up top we have stalagmites, and down below we have up top we have stalactites, and down below we have stalagmites. An easy way to remember that is stalactites stick tight to the roof, and stalagmites might trip you up. Now these formations are called the trail veloutiers. We call it veloutiers because the formation up top is an active formation, which is currently dripping right now. That's where it gets the nickname veloutiers. And on the left is when both these formations come together and make a stalactite stalagmite, and also known as a column or pillar. Now if you watch your step and follow me, we'll go and keep going.
Now, the room that we have just walked around was used by the Cherokee back in the 1820s. There was a Cherokee chief and his tribe who ended up discovering the cave system, and they would come down here to use this as a warm place to stay. It never changes from the constant 58 degrees Fahrenheit that we feel now, so it stays the same temperature all year round no matter what. Either the winter or the summer, it doesn't matter. So they use this just as a warm and a safe place to stay. We discovered jewelry, pottery, and arrowheads 100 years after the Cherokee were down here, and a lot of that was sent off to local museums, but we still have some of the arrowheads on display upstairs. So you can see this in the glass showcase after the tour. It's really neat to see. Now, also on the ceiling, there are little crystal formations that a lot of people say they almost look like sea urchins. They just go in all directions. Now, these little crystals are called anthodites. Anthos is a Greek word that means flower, so a lot of people call them cave flowers. Now, anthodites are very slow-growing calcite-based crystals, and they form 1 cubic centimeter every 1,000 years. That makes them one of the slowest-growing crystals on the planet. They form just as water oozes through the rock, and instead of dripping, the water evaporates. Now these are all inactive. That means they're no longer growing, so they don't have the proper amount of water or minerals to form, and we'll see active amphibites in just a little bit. Usually you can tell whether a formation is active or not through its color. If it has a brighter color, that means it's more active. So my adults, watch your head, be careful, there's some low rocks. Everybody else, make sure you're not touching the walls and the buildings. Side of the handrail. This large opening is called the Baby Grand Canyon. It was formed very similar to the real Grand Canyon, just on a much smaller scale. Later on in the tour, we'll get to see where the water can outperform this. We'll talk about it in more detail later on. But as we head up this next pathway, watch your step and be careful. To the right. This is called a leaching vat, and this was something that was very common to find in cave systems during the Civil War. So people searched across the floor for bat guano or bat droppings. They would shovel in the guano into the vats or boiling hot water over top of it and let everything dissolve. This contains potassium nitrate that you need to make one of the main ingredients for gunpowder. So again, you boil everything down, add in a few extra ingredients like burnt tree bark and soap, and eventually this would end up in a big bowl at the end. They'd light a fire underneath that and let it cool back down and crystallize, and it would form saltpeter crystals that would be harvested and sent off to refineries. So fun fact of the day, people shot dirt and bats would fight each other during the Civil War. Kind of funny, huh? But up ahead on the left, we will see different types of writings, both black and white. Now, the date 1863 is what we want to focus on first. This is the oldest known date we have in the cave system, and we carbon-14 dated this to verify the time period. All of the black writing that we see, that's historic. All of the white writing, sadly not so much. The white writing's carved into the rock by either a pocket knife or a sharp rock. So people would sneak into the cave system just before we opened up in 1965 and deface, damage, and steal from the cave. So as we head through, the black writing is historic. It's burnt onto the rock by candles or torches from the soldiers that were making gunpowder. The white writing, just kids. So there's a low rock on the right. You're free to stop and take pictures. Just be careful, watch your head. But the black writing is what puts us on the Civil War trail.
Okay guys, this hole right here, this is called the sand room. We call this a sand room because it is the biggest sand closet inside the cave. Early settlers would come down here and use this room as like an early refrigeration. So they would get their canned vegetables and their food, and they would put this in the sand because the cave stays at a constant 58 degrees. So it would keep their food good and make it last longer. Now if you look at these lines on the wall right here, this is how we know that this room was filled completely with water. And as it slowly drained, it would leave the mark, and that is how we know this room was filled with water.
So that's where you get the different textures in the rock. It's all from the time period where this was completely flooded. So watch your head, watch your step, and we are going to go. Now, if you look up at the ceiling, you can see the unique shape of the rock here. This was carved out by a whirlpool, and at one time there was water pouring in through the tunnel we just walked through, as well as the tunnel we see off to the left. The two large bodies of water would collide together, form waves, and the waves would crash against the rock, eroding out softer parts of the ceiling, leaving behind what we call bedrock pendant. So those peaks, or those points, hanging from the ceiling.
This is a jaguar. And that jaguar would be 8 feet long without its tail. If it still lived today, it would be 500 pounds. Now, we sent those bones off to the museum in New York, but we do have a casting of its paw and what the head would look like in the showcase above.
Yep, so we can see this after the tour if we'd like. So that again is a Pleistocene jaguar. This is one ancient kitty cat. Now, also, if you notice the orange and yellow sign, this is for an overnight tour that we offer. These are different areas you can go on that overnight tour, and you get to go climbing and crawling.
Meat grinder,
so if you're interested
misery,
in this tour, then that's
bubble
called
gum
Wild Tour.
alley,
You can go to the front
eye
desk
of
for
the
a tour,
needle,
or go to our website
slide
and
crawl,
read up a little bit more about
plank
it.
crawl,
But again, you
and
can
black
climbing
cat.
and crawling and spend the night. Question? We'll talk about them in just a little bit. Now, something else in this area I want to mention, it's actually the tin, so kind of hold your questions until after the speeches. I'm probably going to answer the questions while I'm talking. So, the tins behind me, those were brought in by the government back in the 50s. We ended up having a group of people bring in enough supplies to feed 20,000 people for 2 weeks. So again, we're just being used as a fallout shelter or a bunker. It's around the Cold War time, so a lot of people were nervous, and again, we wanted to make sure that we had a safe place to stay. The tins in the corner are now filled with about 60-year-old saltine crackers. No one ended up using them, so they sat here for a very long time, and the tins, again, are now filled up with very soft and squishy crackers, so hopefully nobody's hungry. They don't look like saltines, but those, have, again, have been down here since the 50s. Now, also, we are going to experience natural darkness. Natural darkness is the absence of all light. Now is a great time to get close to your friends and your parents, your guardians, whoever you came with. If you have lights or electronics or anything that glows in the dark, just cover it up for a bit or turn it off. And I'll show you this very briefly. I promise it won't be for very long. So, again, I'll show you this very briefly. I'll count down from 3. Just make sure you cover up all lights, electronics. If you have light-up shoes, don't stomp around. I'll let you stomp around in just a little bit. We just want to experience natural darkness first. So here we go. Lights out in 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so this is natural darkness. Hold on, guys. Hey, guys. Again, I told you not to stomp around with the light-up shoes. Guys, stop. So, I'll let you stomp around in just a little bit, but this is natural darkness. You can only find it in cave systems like this and the deepest part of the ocean. If you were down here for over 2 weeks, that's when you would start to do long-term damage to your vision. Nothing's going to happen in the few seconds we're sitting here. So this again is natural darkness, and it's kind of neat. Again, you can only find this in cave systems and the deepest part of the ocean. So if you want for the lights to come back on, raise your hand. Alright, lights on in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Alright, so we will continue on. We're heading out through the tunnel we walked through earlier, and this time we're making a left. Watch your head, watch your step, but we are getting closer to the boat ride. So slowly but surely, I promise we're making our way there. So itself is 600 feet long, 150 feet wide. We're currently 500 feet beneath the peak of the mountain. Now this is known as the keel room. The keel room is made up of red keel clay you find all across the floor. Farmers used to mix this up with buttermilk and use it to make paint for houses and barns. So the clay here, again, can be mixed up with buttermilk and used to make buttermilk paint. Now across the walls and the ceiling, there's a mineral forming here. This is called moon's milk. Moon's milk is a calcite crystal, and it's very soft. A lot of people say it feels almost like cream cheese, so it's really sticky and it's not fun to play with, but we end up having the Cherokee use this almost like a bandage. They scrape this off the walls, wet it, put it over a cut or a burn. It would dry out and harden and form a barrier, so it acted kind of like a band-aid. So this prevented infection and kept everything clean. It's being used all across the world, but here in the United States, it's mostly used by Native Americans. Now,
over here, you can see this big red hole. We call this the devil's hole. Now, this is actually just an erosion hole, so it means the ground that was there was a lot softer than the ground that was around it, so when the water came, it just went down. It only goes down about 13 feet, and it goes up to about the size of a softball. Now, there's a legend that if you look down it, you might see the devil if you were back for the past 2 weeks. Now, if you're married, you might see your in-laws, you know, take it off your chance.
So feel free to take a look inside. Now, if you look out on either side of the pathway, we are currently standing in what's called the Baby Grand Canyon. Now, this was formed very similar to the real Grand Canyon, just on a much smaller scale. And later on in the tour, we'll get to see where the water came out to form this. So we'll talk about it in more detail just later on. But this, again, is part of the Baby Grand Canyon. And this section resembles the Grand Canyon a lot more than the first half we got to see. We will pass by a couple of things, but I want to warn you first, this hill is very steep. Now it's not as bad going down as coming back up as where it tends to be a bit more strenuous. If for some reason you want to stay behind, feel free to take a seat. You'll miss out on the boat ride if you stay behind, and of course, children cannot stay unattended. You can't abandon your children at the rest stop. If the child stays, the adult must stay with them. So we are going to pass by a couple of things like this. We call this crystal water. It's clean, it's very clear, so you'll see that up ahead, and you're free stop and get a good look at it. It helps feed into the lake. So we'll see that on the left, and then on the right, there's a moonshine still. Now back in the 40s, this case is opened up as a speakeasy. What that means is there is a time period where it's illegal to purchase, sell, and make alcohol, so people come in and make secret bars, and they do this illegally. Well, this is one of the original moonshine stills, not left as cases since 1937. So we'll see that up ahead on the right. So as we head down, be careful, watch your steps. It's a little slippery down closer towards the falls and down at the bottom of the hill. So be careful, watch your steps. Size of a bicycle tire when it was first discovered in 1905. A 13-year-old boy found this and he crawled through a tunnel for about 40 feet before discovering the lake. Now he played around for a bit, he went home, he told his dad didn't believe him. He ended up going out and talked to friends, family, and neighbors and spread the story around. He found this during a major drought, and soon after he discovered it, the water started to come back up and flooded the tunnel. So no one ended up rediscovering it for almost 60 years. In 1965, there were people who were hired to come in and try out this lower part of the cave system. They got lucky. They rediscovered this during a minor drought, and you could barely see what they were about to blast out. They could barely see the opening, so they ended up deciding if they wanted to see what was on the other side. They could see water coming out of it, so they ended up drilling through, sticking the dynamite. They were the ones that blasted out, and just along the way we stacked the rock and gobble up. Now when they ended up in the lake room, they actually went out to talk to locals and brag about what they discovered. Locals who grew up hearing Vincent's stories. They're of course children at the time, they're now adults. They vouched for him. He ended up getting full credit. They went to him and talked to him and wanted to see if he could prove he was the original discoverer. And he ended up hiking from the natural entrance down to this point to lead into this tunnel and prove that he knew where the tunnel was. So again, he got full credit. He was 73 years old. It took him 60 years to get a very big I told you so. So as we head through, watch your head, watch your step. Be careful. They went around this left-hand wall and found a tunnel that led back into a room twice the size of this one. So they're selling on 4.5 acres, and they discovered about 9 acres of lake. Now, when they sent out a sonar, they discovered the 9 acres, but they never found the very back wall. So it just kind of tapered off. They never really found the very end of that room, and they also never found a place to resurface. We have yet to go back into that chamber since the 70s because of how difficult it is to get in and out of the tunnel. The divers had issues where the bubbles from their oxygen tanks were knocking off chunks of the ceiling. It was causing the ceiling to crumble and hit their equipment and then stir up silt that's on the floor, so the water was really, really cloudy. They also had issues where parts of the tunnel got too tight. They had to take their oxygen tanks off their backs, push them out in front of them, and then swim in after them. So it took them a while to get out. So they ended up deeming it too dangerous to go back, and we've yet to go back with other divers since the 70s. Now, also I do want to mention that in the very back, we'll start to notice a few of the fish. The fish that we have here are rainbow trout, and they're not native. They were brought down to see if they could find an outlet. So we wanted to tag them, pour them into the lake. We were hoping they'd find a way out in search of food. Someone could catch them, come back and tell us where, and that'd be the end of it. Well, they tagged the fish, pour them in, they stayed. They never found a way out. So we keep them like our pets, and we have close to 300 in the lake today. So we take care of them, feed them often, and once we get to the back, hopefully we'll see a few of those trout. Now we do leave the lights on for the fish about 12 hours out of the day. They end up retaining about 75% of their eyesight, but only roughly a quarter of their color. Now at one time the fish were both blind and albino, but we leave the lights on for them now long enough that they can retain most of their eyesight, and they can see food when it hits the top of the water. Now we're also very close to the back of the lake room. At its deepest part, the lake is 70 feet deep. So that light in the corner is where the water reaches 70 feet. That's again as far as the room goes, and that's the deepest part of the lake. Now also, I do have a quick bit of information about the fish. I get questions about the fish laying eggs or if they reproduce. Now, we do have to come through and restock every 5 years. The reason for that is because the fish, when they lay eggs, the eggs have nothing to cling to, so they float and they're never fertilized. So you have to come through and add a new fish about every 5 years. Now, as we make our way back towards the middle of the room, I actually have a funny story about the trout. The rainbow trout get pretty excited, and sometimes they may jump or splash. Now they don't do it too often, but sometimes they will. Now back in 1999, a fish got real excited and it jumped onto the boat. It ended up on a woman's lap, and she was so afraid she beat it to death with her purse. Yes, that's how afraid she was. She grabbed the fish afterwards and decided she wanted to keep it. She took the fish up to the front desk, requested to take it home with her. The front desk talked it over with managers, and everyone decided they were too afraid to tell someone who beat a fish to death if they didn't get to keep it, so they let her keep it. They told her, go home, mount it on your wall. Now she agreed. She said she'd mount it on her wall as a trophy. She called back the next day and she complained it tasted bad. Yep, turns out when you feed fish beef liver pellets, they taste a lot like beef liver. 1999, that's when that happened. Funny. Now, in just a moment, we are going to be making our way underneath a low-hanging rock. If you look up at the ceiling and you look at this rock here, you can see it's unusually flat and there's a lot of sharp corners. This is actually where we've had our latest and only major rock fall. They found out it fell so long ago due to formations that grow from the rock here. Now, all these different formations, be it what we call cave bacon, grown from the rock on the side there, and then the little soda straw stalactites on the ceiling, if you isotope date this and just find out the age of the formation, all the oldest formations are the same exact age. That's an indicator that that's when the rock fell. Because as soon as that rock moves, it exposes minerals. So that rock will start to crack and crumble, those formations will start to grow, and they all start to grow just as soon as that rock moves. So 2,000-year-old case of that, if that's all the age of the oldest formations, that's the age of the rock fall. Now, a lot of these formations are active and dripping. We have a little formation here. It's the most active stalactite in the cave system. This is Bessie the milking cow. Now, this formation drips anywhere from 38 to 40 times a minute, and it's said to bring you good luck if you do get dripped on by a stalactite. So hopefully someone gets a drip or two.
I got 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now, the small cinder stalactites that I mentioned earlier, the little soda straw stalactites, these are hollow, and you could break one off and drink from it. Anything you would drink would taste a lot like rust, so interesting, but not really worth the trouble. Pretty cool, though.
Ooh, I would like that.
Yes, if you'd like to touch the water, you can do so here, or far enough away from the feeding area, the fish won't bother you.
My hand is so wet.
That was my dog. So proud.
Kidneys.
Half of the hands are in the water. In the 20s, we opened up as a completely different attraction. You could come in and pay a nickel to take a tour. That's all it costed. So you come in, pay a nickel, get to go exploring the cave system. So it was a lot different than it is today. It was before the lake had been opened up to the public. Now, also, when we head up, we'll see a stalagmite in the middle of the pathway. It stands almost up to my knee, and this group of stalagmites is actually said to be good luck if you touch it. Some people say touching it with your hands is a day of good luck. If you hug it, that's a whole week of good luck. So high five it, hug it, just don't kiss it. We have a lot of school groups that come through here throughout the week and everybody touches it. If you kiss it, you might get something that isn't good luck.
Smooth.
This is what we call the world's largest chicken leg, or Colonel Sanders' dream. Now this is where water came out to form the baby Grand Canyon we got to see and even walk through today. The reason it's no longer drips, of course, is because rock and clay has settled into the opening, so it's been clogged up and the water doesn't pour into the mountain. Again, there's too much rock and dirt that's clogging it up. The water just pours off the side of the mountain instead. So, at one time, water was coming through this opening, it would form a pool of water behind me here, and then it would cascade down and form a stream, and that stream carved out what we got to see and walk through of the baby Grand Canyon. So, that is all formed by that opening there.
So we're done. Pardon the messy hair. We are back home. We forgot to do the outro while we were there at the Lost Sea. What'd you think?
It was great because my favorite part was going on the boat because we could put our hand in the water.
You put your hand in the water, and the water was clear and you could see to the bottom. It was really pretty.
Yeah.
And the fish were albino. They're all white because they live in the dark and can't see, and it changes the color of their skin because there's no sunlight getting to them.
Yeah, and I saw a fish really close up.
Yeah.
It was like this far ahead.
What'd you think about when they gave you all natural darkness and turned out all the lights?
That was my second favorite part.
Yeah. What'd you think of all the cave magtites and Stalagmites.
I really like when we were on the boat that we got to see those like things down. They look like kind of water, like a waterfall.
Yeah, that's cool, huh? Okay, so that's all we have. It's the Lost Sea. It's in Middle Tennessee, more East Tennessee than Middle. And that's all we have. Thanks so much for watching. Bye. You gonna say bye?
Bye.